From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is our last show before the last Christmas of the decade.
Monumental.
Non-human.
Happy holidays.
Feliz Navidad, boys.
Do you know about Whamageddon? No?
The 4K restoration?
No. Whamageddon is a game that they play in England, which is between, early in December and Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Can you get away without hearing
Last Christmas? No, you shouldn't. It's terrible. It'd be horrible.
And the rules are that actually as long as you only hear, it's the original version.
Oh, yeah.
So remixes and cover versions, that's okay. But if you do hear the original playing on the radio or on a TV show, you have to put #Whamageddon on all your social medias.
I like it.
You know, I've been playing Wowmageddon, where I try and get away with not being at Wow for the entire
You've
Christmas
done
season.
Extraordinarily well, James. We've hardly seen you. You're like the ghost of Christmas past.
Paid paternity leave or something.
Well, and
us?
Yes,
they
I
just.
am.
Oh, sorry.
I'll get there eventually.
They just restored the 4K Last Christmas in 4K
It is. I just watched the
on
video.
Vivo.
Yeah, it's pretty
Okay,
spectacular.
okay.
It is a good song.
the video for Last
Right.
Christmas. Okay. And then, of course, there's Last Christmas, the movie, right?
Yes.
With-
Which just made $100 million.
Really? Which is by the Love Actually people.
That went quick.
Okay, so I am Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, joined by Tom Campbell.
Hello, everyone.
Chief Creative Officer, and James St. James.
How do you do?
Editor of the Wow Report.
Yes.
Hardly ever here. We rarely see
How
you.
dare you,
It's
sir?
a Christmas Carol type sighting.
Thanks for popping by.
Thank you.
And Blake, of course.
Hi.
Okay, let's just do it. We're going to count down top 10 things this week that made us go,
Wow.
Number 10.
Last weekend, I saw the movie Bombshell. Who's with me? Who's seen Bombshell?
I've seen it.
Blake has seen it. You two have not.
I have not seen it. I have seen The Loudest Voice in the Room, the miniseries on
Yes.
Showtime, and I have seen Divide and Conquer, the documentary.
I didn't see Divide and Conquer. I saw the last. This is, of course, directed by Jay Roach, starring Charlize Theron, Nicole Kidman, Margot Robbie, John Lithgow, Kate McKinnon, Mark Duplass, Allison Janney, Connie Britton. So many brilliant actors who all happen to lean a little liberal, a little to the left, if you will, and they are doing sort of Insta history, right? Because in 2016, it starts with Megyn Kelly's the preparing for the debate where Trump says that she's bleeding from all her orifices, or eventually does that kind of thing. Yes.
Is that where it started?
So around that time,
Fountainhead.
yes.
Oh, my God.
And it goes through the removal, the downfall of Roger Ailes, played by John Lithgow, an incredible prosthetics.
He must have chewed the scenery.
He did, and
Is it the same prosthetics that he used for Winston Churchill in The Crown?
and he may have borrowed some. He may have
fat suit,
recycled
yes.
some because he is a liberal.
He's good at being...
It is. It's gotten mixed reviews, shockingly, because I just went. I wanted to see it. I came home. I read the reviews afterwards, and I recommend it. I think it's really deftly done. I don't. It starts off and Charlize Theron, who, by the way, you just go to the movie for two reasons.
Yes, for Charlize.
Charlize Theron's Megyn Kelly voice, which I can't even begin to replicate, but she totally gets her cadence and her hardness. And it is the most Fox lady dresses, those color blocking, bright pink, bright blue, bright red, and these skinny little ladies and legs.
And the blonde
Yes.
hairdos.
That's the uniform, right?
Yes, there's that line in the trailer. It's something. You know why they make the army all wear a uniform, so they're easily replaceable. But it's got a sense of humor. It is horrifying at times as it depicts sexual harassment.
Is there an Oscar nomination in Charlize's future?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
I also think, everyone's good in it. Nicole Kidman's really good in it too. She plays
Gretchen Carlson,
who is the whistleblower, the first person. Margot Robbie is just a tremendous performer.
She's beautiful. She's a fantastic actress, and she's just stunning to look at. I love everything she's done.
She plays kind of a composite character, but she is the young one who is the most recent kind of victim of Roger's harassment.
Right, because which was the one that brought in had to find her own replacement before she could cease being sexually harassed.
I know who you mean, and I don't.
Yeah,
but that's part of her.
It's such a disgusting story, isn't it?
It is a disgusting story, but but it's done in that frothy. That's the wrong word, but it's done in a fast-paced walk and talk. Megyn Kelly's
Aaron
character,
Sorkin-esque.
yes, and Megyn Kelly's character sort of walks and talks at the beginning, like kind of sets you up
in that West Wing sort of way.
Yes, but literally looking at the camera and breaking the fourth wall, and and then it's dropped eventually. I don't care. I like any way to get cram-pack me, get me the story, get me up to speed, and it's a lot of what reality does, which it just tells you this is where you are, this is what's happening, this is what I'm feeling, let's go.
Movies, I think, borrow increasingly from the tropes of reality TV. But I think, would this make you want to see the 6-part Russell Crowe series? Russell Crowe's plays Roger Ailes, and it's pretty good. It's on Showtime. It's pretty darn good.
One of the reviews I said, I think they're both good. I've seen them both. This is less of a time commitment, and a lot of people's criticism too, or the uneasiness is there are heroes within Fox News, right? Gretchen Carlson, they're played. There is an arc of them being the heroes, them being the people that break the story, and they're realistic at the end. They without really, for a short time. A difference was made. How long will it last? What will happen? It's a big anyway, picture. But it's a really interesting glance into Fox. Is it hard enough? I don't know. It's very watchable. And someone said that John Lithgow puts a sense of humor into Roger Ailes.
Well, do
puts
we
a
really
little bit more
need it?
charm.
Do we need charm and sense of humor from Roger?
Just to understand how someone can exist that long,
okay,
and can seduce women, and they
and
make it very.
Roger Ailes did have a certain amount of charisma. I mean, vile person. I remember he said of Paula Zahn when he fired her for some reason, and he said he could get better ratings out of a dead raccoon, which is a horrible thing to say, but he was sort of funny and charismatic. I suppose in many ways he was Trumpian.
Yes, and he would mentor these women at the same time, sort of like 3 parts mentoring, 1 part harassment. So that was part of his charm. I'm not defending him in any way, but Lithgow gives a kind of a very layered performance, as John Lithgow will do.
Is he going to get nominated? This is all I care about
I don't think awards. I just think art.
And that is Bombshell in theaters now. James, number 9.
Number 9.
Whoa, never has there ever been a cat so clever as magical Mr. Mistopheles. Whoa, never has there ever been so clever a cat.
Okay.
I'm having a distant kind of PTSD moment. Is this a song from Cats the musical?
It is. I went to go see the premiere of Cats last night.
You went to the premiere?
It was fantastic. It was the craziest batshit movie I have ever seen in my entire damn life. It is awful. It is terrible. Terrible in a way that will live on in infamy, like Showgirls, or it is
herpes.
It is the herpes of cinema. But you cannot take your eyes off of these performances, off of the weird CGI cat fur, the weird CGI taking out. They leave
Jason
the boobs.
Derulo's penis is gone.
Idris Elba's bulge. It is just bizarre. There were
Did
times,
the audience howl?
The audience is howling. Exactly. The audience is dissolving into laughter many times, but at the same time, there were a couple
premiere.
At the premiere, there were a couple of times where people stood up and cheered and were applauding. It's weird because I cried twice. I cried during Mr. Mistopheles, the mystical cat, the magical cat, when he brings back Judi Dench to life.
Spoiler alert.
Okay. Here we go.
I didn't even know Judi Dench was dead.
Cats is, of course, based on a book of children's short stories by T.S. Eliot that Andrew Lloyd Webber cobbled into a storyline about a group of Jellicoe cats. Don't ask.
What is Jellicoe? Yes,
we
like
don't
Jellicoe
know.
cat. It's like
Jellicoe cats go to the Jellicoe ball on the Jellicoe day of the Jellicoe year.
It's a
hate
cat
that.
gang.
It's a gang of cats.
Okay.
And they meet once a year for the Jellicoe Ball, and they decide who the Jellicoe cat is who gets to die and come back to life. It's a suicide ball.
I must stop you.
It's a suicide ball, and old Deuteronomy, who played by Judi Dench, gets to decide which cat gets to die.
Why?
Because cats have 9 lives, and if this life is sufficiently terrible, then you get to die and come back to a better life.
Like the 99 Virgins, the Muslim thing?
Sort of, but the cats have 9 lives, and if your life is really terrible, like poor Grisabella, like the glamour cat who sings memories.
Yes.
She comes in, and so everybody comes out, and they sing a song about, I'm a fat cat, and I wear spats.
So it's like American Idol for cats.
Yes.
The Voice.
Yes.
But you
So-
die when you win.
When you win, yes. This play has been around for 40 years. I can't believe you don't know anything about this.
Well, you've explained it to me better. I've seen it, and I didn't understand it better. You've just explained it very well. So now, okay,
So I want to say,
keep going.
okay, so
This might be the whole show, by the way. You
Dame
might have
Judi
to like,
Dench
reformat.
is Old Deuteronomy, and this is the first time Old Deuteronomy has ever been played by a female. But she comes out, and she's wearing a fur coat, and all the cats sing and dance around her, and it's one of the craziest things you've ever seen. It literally feels like, at one point I turned to Seth, who I went to the movies with, and I said, I feel like I was eating nachos before and fell asleep watching the Garfield movie, and like this is a fever dream. Like I'm having, like, am I dead? Am I alive? What is going on?
That's a sensation you probably feel a lot.
Yes. Rebel Wilson plays.
Rebel Wilson's in it too.
Yes.
It's such a cast of characters.
It is everybody you've ever met. She plays Jenny Anydots, and she is horrible. She has the first number, and they quickly get her off screen, and she's terrible.
I'm having a physical, like nails on a black. I'm feeling
It
physically anxious
You
about seeing this. I'm seeing it in a
You have
jail
to
cell.
see it at a big theater. You have to see it you cannot wait until it comes out on TV.
No.
You have to
No,
watch
I'm seeing
it
it in like 24, 48 hours.
I'm telling you, it is the weirdest experience you will ever see. Ian McKellen plays Asparagus, the theater cat, and he steals the movie. He's absolutely fantastic. He is the only performance that you will say, this is really
But
spectacular.
does his pee smell really bad?
He does.
He's
Yeah.
asparagus?
James Corden plays
A fat cat.
Yeah, Bustopher Jones.
plus
He
size.
knows- No, he
Seen the
does.
trailer,
No,
like-
that's his whole thing. That's the whole shtick. Bustopher is a fat cat, and he comes out and he sings about being a fat cat.
Okay.
Rhymes. Jason Derulo is Rum Tum Tugger, who's sort of.
I'd like to rum tug Jason Derulo.
Now,
He's very good. Wait, hold on.
I have a
Idris
question.
Elba
Okay, I have a
Idris Elba is McCavity, the mystery cat, and he can't sing at all. So what they have is they have Taylor Swift come down from the crescent moon from Studio 54,
Yep.
and they say
The
that,
Coke spoon.
No. She sprinkles catnip, and that's the same thing as cocaine. And Tom Hooper says that he's doing a Studio 54 reference. She comes down onto the dance floor on the crescent moon, and everybody gets high from her catnip, and then she gets off and sings around because Idris Elba can't sing, and so they give Idris's song to Taylor. So she goes around and sings. She plays.
And is that the new song that will be nominated for an Oscar?
No.
Okay,
They have another character
named.
named Victoria who is sort of a stand-in for the audience, and she's a cat who sort of falls into this group, and she's like, "What is a Jellicle cat?" And then everyone's like, "A Jellicle cat is a Jellicle. Yeah, they go to the Jellicle ball and the Jellicle day and the Jellicle year." And then she's sort of like, "Oh," and then at the very, very end, and I'm not giving them this away, but after Jennifer Hudson, first of all,
Daylight.
not a sound from the pavement, and the first time she sings it, you're like, that's it? Like, you hired Jennifer Hudson, but then she comes back and she does.
They sing it twice.
They sing it twice, and she comes back and does it again. And the second time, it is caterwauling and it is nails on the blackboard, and she is screeching to the high heavens, and she is trying for her damn Oscar, and snot is running out of her nose.
I never liked snot.
And it is.
what about the fur?
The fur isn't as bad as you think it is. It's sort of nice. It's sort of good.
Is it
but Jennifer
faux
Hudson,
fur?
that
I
is
think-
terrible.
Jennifer Hudson is terrible?
The worst actress on the history of the play. She's going for
Oscar winner Jennifer.
We realized it was all a mistake. That first Oscar was a complete
I
mistake.
can't be part
But
of this.
Here's what, at the very end.
I have two questions. So
No.
you've seen-
No. At the very, very end, Judi Dench gives a 40-minute monologue to the camera.
Just what
that
you need.
Never ends. And
Is it still playing?
At a certain point, everyone is up cheering. You think it's done, and then. Yes, my dear, you are a Jellicle cat.
Whatever that means.
Whatever
Oh,
that
for
means.
God's sake.
And it literally, she has these Pinterest pauses that go on forever and ever. And then she starts up again, and when you think it's over, it's not over. And the audience is just laughing at her because it's so ridiculous and horrible.
So
and
wait.
terrible.
Is it like a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Like, because Showgirls was so bad, it's good. Is that what this
Two
is?
paws up,
Kitty
one
girl.
paw up, one paw down.
Free me out.
2 paws down.
2 wiggly cattails.
And can you explain it says a review said it plain works with the sole exception of Taylor Swift's original song about the cats devouring the corpse of an old woman who died in her flat.
Well, that's
what the fuck is going on?
Well, okay.
Cat rhymes with flat. So
And we've talked about this before, where Andrew Lloyd Webber has written a new song for Taylor Swift, and Victoria gets to sing it. It's in the movie, but then at the very end, Taylor sings it again, and it is the best of Andrew Lloyd Webber. He mentions all of memories, and so he gets a Phantom of the Opera reference in there. It's terrible. What are you saying?
But it's about a cat devouring a corpse of an old woman.
No, she's
happens.
She's just a cat, and she's sad about her life, and blah 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 blah.
Okay.
So you're saying it's so bad you have to see it in the theater. It's like a once in a lifetime experience.
Cats is in theater now. So number 8.
Number 8.
James, while you were kicking it up at the Kitty Cat premiere, Tom and I were on a march. Oh, yes,
true.
How'd it go?
Nobody is above the law. I think it's time to point that out.
Was it cold?
There were marches
Was it
earlier
cold?
this week, freezing cold.
Uh-huh.
Marches this week, 617 all across the country. Impeach now, remove. The audience was chanting. Everybody had
Did you
signs.
see Alyssa Milano?
Yes, I did, and she was great.
He went downtown to
Yes.
the city.
With
I
Randy.
went to the West Hollywood one just because I was home and it was close. And you had much more A-list speakers, I must say. But there was something really satisfying about yelling at the top of your lungs, "Impeach 45!
Yeah.
Impeach 45!" You realize it's almost like scream therapy or something. There's so much anger and disappointment and sadness in a way our country's being led right now. To be like it felt good to be out with people and doing something. And
I
putting
did
voice
see
to
in
it.
the Chicago ones, they were all singing Christmas carols, but with impeach lyrics. It
Yes.
was really fun.
Clever
Yes,
one.
Yes.
it was. What is that? What is that? What is? I wrote it down. I thought it was ago. Oh, we wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you would leave the White House sometime by New Year.
Yeah.
Right? That's really good. But it's yeah. And there were demonstrations in Times Square,
Yes.
in Philadelphia.
Now, how many people were there? Was it?
Well,
was
I
it?
have to say, I was a little like downtown LA. I mean, it was a little sparse.
Oh,
Actually, I guess
dear.
everybody was at the Cats premiere.
Yes, that must be. Well, I have to say, I think it's a good beginning. I think it's a good start. I think it was a weeknight. It started at 5:30.
But in Hong Kong, there would be 10
I
billion
agree with
people.
you, but I think it's a start. And I think when they're in the Senate, we need to march again.
We do.
And we need to keep marching because
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
stuff's happening. And we also need to work in swing states come
yeah,
election
because
time.
you can have 100 million people in Los Angeles. but
Doesn't
it
matter.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, as a reminder, in July of this past year, 2019, the Puerto Ricans forced out their premiere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chile,
Right?
Romania, Bulgaria, everybody.
it
is-
works. People power works in other countries.
Yeah.
I just think we're. And the other thing I noticed was that the crowd was slightly of my age and sort of. It wasn't a very young crowd. I think.
Similar
could
where
say
I
that
was.
again.
Similar where I was. No, but that's a missing
More-
component.
it
It's a
is.
missing component.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would they need to vote? And it'd be lovely
But
if they
I
made
think it's-
some signs.
It's a start.
All right. Blake, got a question?
I do. Of all the stars of Cats,
Of all the stars of old Deuteronomy and Mr. McCavity and Jenny Anydots.
Oh God, I feel sick. I'm literally going to throw up.
me too.
But anyway,
Ironically, this person is allergic to cats.
I do know this one. I know this one.
All right, we'll figure that out.
you're listening to Wow Report on Radio Andy. We'll be right back after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hey, welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake, and it's our last show before Christmas.
It's true. Good to be here.
Well, Catmas.
James saw the Cats premiere, so I asked,
You did.
of all the stars of Cats, this person is ironically allergic to cats.
And I'm going to follow up that question by saying, if you were really paying attention to me, you'll know that the person played Jenny Anydots. Who played Jenny Anydots? So none of you were paying attention to me.
It's Rebel Wilson.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Achoo.
Well, I can add that Idris Elba said he's a dog person, not a cat person. Doesn't like
I was
cats.
when
Cancel culture right there.
I was going to wear my Rum Tum Tugger outfit last night, but then everyone at work said that I should probably go dressed as a dog. Wouldn't that be funny?
Wow.
And your rum tug tugger was in at the dry cleaners,
It's
wasn't
true.
it?
I've gotten a lot of use out of it this past week.
All right, so what are we doing? We're counting down top 10 things that made us go,
Wow.
wow. And we've reached number 7.
Number 7.
It seems like there's a protest, a political breakthrough, something different every day. This one I want to bring up because over the past weekend, Hallmark Channel, which has those ridiculously awful that some people love, especially the gays, Christmas movies, removed commercials that included that for a wedding registry product service that removed a commercial that had 2 lesbian women kissing at their marriage, at their wedding.
Yeah, they're getting married and they kiss. That's what
As
you
part
do.
of a montage of everything. And they were pressured by an organization erroneously called 1 Million Moms.
Because it's basically one.
Because it's one crazy Christian right-wing freak. And Hallmark, for a brief moment in time, took those ads down. And I have never sworn so much on my Facebook post. It was like, fuck this. Fuck Hallmark. You know,
Marriage is legal.
and fuck the million mothers who I didn't know at the time the word was one who, you know, are promoting hate and violence against their LGBTQ
They did
children.
say that she brought up the Romans quote about killing homosexuals. She did. She sort of.
No, but
she-
just that kind of hate, that kind of attitude, that kind of lack of representation is what makes people, young people, not feel loved, kicked out of their houses,
Right.
feel like they have to go to extremes or conversion or go along with what they are. When indeed, and I'm saying what we all
Marriage
know,
equality exists.
it's
is
the law. It's the fucking law. It upsets me today that it happened, and thank God
And
Hallmark turned it around quickly.
Yeah, we do have to give Hallmark
I
their
know.
credit for realizing the error of their way and changing it quickly.
Of
One
course.
wonders if it was a cynical ploy to boost their ratings.
I don't believe that. I believe that they really for a moment thought that there was a boycott happening and they were scared.
And I'll take it, and it is the power again of speaking up. I like to think not that we're all can be in our armchairs all the time. We have to get out and march and activate. But I don't know why I needed to yell about this, but it made me so angry.
Well, especially because your most loyal audience for Hallmark is the gays.
Yes.
We love the holiday
Well,
movies.
there was on Saturday Night Live. They were saying that if your child is watching Hallmark, then they're already gay.
He's already gay.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I just, you know,
Yeah.
it came and went really quickly, but you know,
But we just have to thank Hallmark for
It's a
changing-
it is a
you,
Christmas
Hallmark.
miracle,
Yes.
right?
Thank you, Hallmark. It's kind of a Christmas miracle in
Kind of
that
isn't.
they ran out of a burning house. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like I give them a lot of credit for like doing something right. They made the wrong choice and they corrected it. That's good. But in this day and age, and why is it a surprise to me that we have to fight to be seen on regular television? You know, we're gay people pitching to the Hallmark Channel potentially or whatever. It's like
Right.
it's deeply infringes on our civil rights. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but
And
boy,
it's-
it makes me
but,
angry.
speaking of
Boy,
Chris-
it makes me angry.
It's all one mouth breathing.
Well, no,
woman's-
actually, there are 4,000 people that follow her on Instagram and Twitter and everything like that. So there is one woman. who is-
4,000. I mean, do you
So
know
it's
how
not-
many
it's
people?
not a million.
Equals 1 million.
Yeah. So, but it isn't the mountain of hate that you think.
But
it is.
she's the only one that ever like.
But that Hallmark was going to bow to that is what is scary to me. Like hold on to your rights, fight for them.
Actually, that was a great moment of March when Alyssa Milano got up and said, "Greetings, snowflakes," and we all went wild. and
That's
very happy.
hysterical.
Yes. Number
Six.
6, James.
Number 6.
Well, now you're gonna have to just follow me on this one because this takes a lot to unpack. I've got a lot that I want to talk to.
Let me get comfortable in my chair. Okay, go ahead.
Now, on both Days of Our Lives and General Hospital, there are plot lines about memory mapping, okay? And memory mapping is the process of extracting someone's memories and downloading them onto a hard drive and then uploading them into someone else's memory head, and that person then thinks that they're the other person.
I love that, by the
Okay,
way.
but now here's the thing about that.
Why do they both have?
Well, that's the thing. Now, recently, there was another movie called Selfless with Ryan Reynolds and Ben Kingsley that was the same plot about someone, an old man downloaded his memories into Ryan Reynolds' body, and therefore he got to live another 40 years or 50 years, whatever like that. And the thing about this is that we know about Oh, 3 is a trend, right? 3 is a trend. And if it's happening, that means that somewhere out there in the zeitgeist, there has been a story about memory mapping, and this is coming, and it's the future of maybe helping people live longer, something like that.
Right.
Now, we know that science fiction often turns into science fact. And you think of Jules Verne, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and he came up with the idea of a submarine, and that was 30 years before. It was like 1890. It was before World War I, before there was and the people who made the submarines based it off of Jules Verne. And when you think of Star Trek and the communicators, and that is what flip phones eventually turned into. And Steve Jobs said that he was a young nerd, and when he came up with the idea of phones, he wanted it to look like the Star Trek flip phone.
So you're saying that science fiction prefigures the reality.
Yes, and if you think of Star Trek, there was also FaceTime. If you think of 2001 Space Odyssey, they had iPads in which in space they were able to read the news, and they had Roombas in the Jetsons, and you have to believe that the young nerds in the 60s and 70s went to MIT and then ended up working for Steve Jobs, and when they come up with these ideas, it's because they think back to their Space 1999, Star Trek, 2001 Space Odyssey, and these are the things that they want to invent. And so what I'm saying is that if it's happening on Days of Our Lives and General Hospital and in the movies, that very soon memory mapping is going to be a thing, and we're all going to be able to download Tom's memories into my young body.
I'm taking James's memory chip out.
Well, stick it in you.
I'm going to stick it up my bum.
And then see what happens.
Did you see the movie?
Of course. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
And do you lose your memory?
Yes. They
just get replaced.
You just get replaced by someone else's memories and personality. And if you remember, there was a Johnny Depp movie where he uploaded himself into a computer so that he could live forever. He uploaded himself online.
I don't know if this relates, but in Jumanji: The Next Level,
Yeah.
they all their characters get switched up, so they get transported into the video game, and they're all playing each other.
Now, this has to do with something else I'm going to talk about in a couple minutes.
Oh, okay.
But so I think that this is all the thing that is.
But
they're
I
coming.
think it's all part of this algorithmic mixing up thing.
I believe it.
But it would be kind of cool if you got to keep your memories and added on yours.
Maybe it would be, but here's the thing, because they say that there's a thing, like in The Secret and in science, where if you can imagine it, it can be a possibility and it can happen. And because you just put that into the universe, that means it can happen someday.
I think we should just
Stop
stop the
very
show.
important show
Right
you're
here.
listening to right now.
Oh, God.
What you got, Ben?
Check your local listings for Days of Our Lives and General Hospital. I have...
That's the takeaway. Watch Days of Our Lives now.
I don't know. I just don't even know if I want to talk about it, but I will.
Number 5.
I went to see, well, I didn't go anywhere. I got out my Netflix tablet and I watched Six Underground, the new superhero franchise. It's written by the guys who wrote Deadpool. It's got Ryan Reynolds in it.
Wait, this is Marvel? What is it?
It's not Marvel.
No?
It's Michael Bay.
Oh.
Who, did Armageddon, who did Pearl Harbor.
Blow 'em up, pow!
who-
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, there's even a word for him called Bayhem. It designates his style of girls, cars,
McGee,
explosions,
sort of like remember McGee did a few years ago.
ultra-violence. And this is a cynical and disgusting attempt to create a franchise. Thank you, Netflix. It's called Six Underground, and basically the plot revolves around this guy, Ryan Reynolds, who's number one. And he's a billionaire. He fakes his own death, and then he creates a squad of other people who he persuades to fake their own deaths so they can go out and fix the problems in the world in a sort of Trump only I can do it sense of regime change, killing the baddies. And it was interesting because there's no question this film is beautifully made, and it elevates the Bayhem to a new level, the sort of porn of car chases and violence. It's
Wait, you
so
watched this on your
fan-
tablet?
It is
Shouldn't
so
you have seen-
fantastic. It's like it's a combination of ultra fast action and then super slow motion and incredible sound work where they go all the sounds are so down, they go and the whole thing is synchronized. It's like a music video, and there's no question the film begins with an incredible bang, and then just sort of keeps on going, orgasmically combusting on this amazing car chase through Florence, in which one of the persons has been shot, and so one of the underground people who only has a number is trying to do precise surgery, while in a car going at 90 miles an hour, being shot at and chased, and there's a parkour runner who leaps off the Uffizi Dome, and they drive through. I mean, it's a fuck's sake.
So I always say I can't remember plots anymore.
Right.
But I remember how I feel. How did this movie make you feel?
Made me feel disgusted, because it sort of, as I was drinking in this opiate of violence and incredibly stylish, I suddenly began to think, this is what's wrong with America, that we have this completely deluded idea that one man or a few men can fix problems.
Yeah.
And that actually, if you look at American policy, not to bring it to a wonk, boring level, but almost everything America's done in foreign policy since World War II has blown up in its fucking face. And it's all informed on the idea that we can fix this. We can go in and we can identify the baddies. We can do regime change. And it's always a nightmare. So, but you have these ultra bright, shiny confections that lionize this complete fantasy.
I had two bizarre thoughts listening to you.
Yeah.
One is Obama came out this week sort of saying that if women ruled the world, it'd be a much better place. Did you read that?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, and this is not to be disrespectful, I'm wondering if Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds faked their death so they could fix the world.
I love it.
Wouldn't that be great?
If they are operating behind
Yes.
the scenes. But what I hate about the Bayham is the way he masculinizes women and makes them as tough and as heartless and as cynical and as cruel and as just into kinetic fucking sex and shooting people up the pussy, and it's just so awful.
Male fantasy put onto
Okay,
women,
but-
female
Exactly.
characters.
Talk about body mapping or
But
memory
wait a minute.
mapping
But wait a
or-
minute.
yeah,
Ryan
yeah,
Reynolds
yeah.
is absolutely hysterical in everything that he does, and he's really good. Is he not good?
It sort of feels like he's playing his tapes. It's sort of a bit of a reprise.
That's a shame.
You know. And of course, you know that this is a multi-part franchise because they're six. They don't have names. They're all numbers. They are replaceable.
So you know there's gonna be
you have
six
a
out-
number
six-
two.
six in the-
yes,
yeah.
and in fact, there's a shot. This isn't really a spoiler alert because really, who cares? There's
Boom.
a shot of a board in their underground headquarters of 8 missions, and they pull off and each is numbered, and so they pull the picture off number 1, and it's this evil dictator in Turkestan that they're trying to get rid of. So you know that there's at least another 7 planned and coming our way, which I think is a real shame. And I'm boo to Netflix for just sort
Who's
of
in charge of
perpetuating more
prioritizing
mindless
the
rubbish.
crisis?
But wait, you watched it on an iPad? Shouldn't you see the? This
Well, he was
chick-
driving in his self-driving car at the time.
While performing surgery on myself. All right, so
the future.
6 Underground streaming on Netflix. Blake, you got a question?
I do. It just came out this week that Ariana Grande's God is a Woman wasn't originally going to go to her. Who was it going to go to? What other pop singer?
You're listening to Apple on radio. Andy will have the answer right after the break.
I can't handle that.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James. It's our last show before Jingle Bells, Christmas, things about nature. That's
true.
We're counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow.
Wow.
Blake had a question for us.
I asked Ariana Grande's God is a Woman almost didn't go to her. It almost went to this other pop singer. Who is it?
I'm going to say Taylor Swift.
Miley Cyrus, of course.
It makes sense to me. Beyonce, of course.
It was actually Camila Cabello.
Oh, senorita. Okay, we're all wrong. Thanks, Blake. Great way to end the last trivia question of the year. Thanks so much.
Hey, you could have studied.
Number 4, Tom.
Number 4.
Biggest news for me, eye candy of the week, Kumail Nanjiani, the incredible actor from The Big Sick, from Silicon Valley, has been a guest judge on RuPaul's Drag Race, straight guy, beautiful, smart, funny, has posted a ripped picture of himself, just like abs and veins in the arms and biceps, and he's very clever and he's very politically correct, and I love him. I love you, Kumail. But it's still a humble brag. He's like, I never thought I'd be someone to post a shameless, shirtless selfie. But I am, because I guess he's going to be in the DC universe or
Marvel.
or-
He's on the Eternals.
He's going to be in the Eternals, so he had to buff up. But he said, I couldn't have done this without a year of training with personal training, nutritionists, high-paid nutritionists.
Yeah, I read it was 10 months, five days a week for an hour.
Yeah.
And they
That's it?
focus mainly on like his shoulders and arms, biceps.
10 months.
I
5
know.
days a week for that. That
Right?
isn't that much.
That isn't that. I do that every week.
Yeah, but it's hard work, you know. I mean,
You can't eat the little peanut butter crackers that we have in the office.
yeah, and you can't be like, oh, it's Monday, I don't feel like going.
You can't order pizza at 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now this is horrible, but, you know, he sort of joins like Chris Pratt, right, who was once kind of like a
Right.
doughboy from Parks and Recreation to the guys, and he left his wife.
Oh dear.
And someone was saying, like, who's married to Emily Blunt, the wonderful
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski went through his glow up. So I'm just hoping
that they managed to
that
keep it together.
Kumail doesn't that his body doesn't go to his head.
Well, do you think?
and doesn't affect his heart.
Oh, I tried on your line. That was so good. Could you say it one more time?
I just wanted Kumail. I was hoping that his body doesn't go to his head and affect his heart.
Oh,
I'm gonna. If that was less words, I would embroider that in a pillow for him.
I think that is beautifully said. And why is it that people's bodies go to their head and affects their heart? Why does that happen?
Well, because all of a sudden now women start throwing themselves at you, and men start throwing themselves at you, and all of a sudden you were once a schlub, and now all of a sudden you're a sex god, and everyone's walking around talking about how fabulous you are, and it goes to your head. It goes to your penis is where it goes.
I have
your
I
other
think
head.
more
2020 is going to be a glow up for any of us.
me.
And there's articles all about this. In the New York Times, they did an article about this and how the male, in the past decade, the male body has been much more objectified than it has been in the past.
By
with
me,
Instagram
yes.
and by you. We've always been objectifying men. And as gay men, I think we've always, because we are both the hunted and the hunters. But,
But after 1,000 years of men objectifying women, turn around is fair play, is what I say.
And the warning is, if anybody they think spent that much time on their body in real life, they'd be obsessed.
Right.
Or my trainer. I love you, Aaron. And also, like, the tricks, the shortcuts that people use, the supplements sometimes are questionable. And I always wonder about steroids.
Yes.
Because I've always wanted to do steroids. It's so bad. But I haven't. But it's like.
You get hair on your back, zits on your back, your balls
Oh, I
disintegrate.
know, but
You can't get it up.
I want a glow job. That's what I want.
There you go.
Number 3, James.
Number 3.
Where are all the time travelers?
Look over there.
What
Look
is
over
happening
there.
to you? Why are we
James.
having these philosophical questions?
Are you on Hayakatha or whatever that stuff is? Are you
Ayahuasca.
micro-dusking, micro-dosing
I
something?
read the most interesting article saying that, with billions of people who obviously exist in the future, who have access to time
Given.
travel, why haven't we met any time travelers yet? And they say that there are 5 possibilities of why we haven't met any time travelers yet.
But we have
only 5?
I don't. Greta isn't Greta Thunberg a time traveler?
Well, if you go on the internet, there are people who say that there were time travelers in these silent movies and everything like that. But
Blake is a time traveler.
number 5. Here we go. This is a countdown within the countdown here. Number 5 is number 5.
Number 5.
They are not visiting our time period because our time period just isn't interesting. Of all the time periods in all the world, you go back to see Jesus, you go back to see Hitler, you go back to see Albert Einstein, you go back in Trumpism. The Trump era is just not fascinating.
We're like pop music in 1998. We're just not that interesting.
Exactly. Number 2, they are.
What happened to number 4?
Actually, I'm going back in reverse. Okay, so number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4 is they're hiding in plain sight, and we've talked about this on the show too. Where I read that book called Einstein's Dreams, and they purported that time travelers are here, but because of the butterfly effect, they are hidden in their. Whenever you see a homeless person under a bridge, that's a time traveler because they are terrified to do anything that's going to interrupt the time stream. So they're here, and anytime you see somebody hiding in a corner, that's a time traveler. Number 3. They're here.
James, you always find you under your desk.
Number 3.
They're here, but we think that they're crazy. People say that they're time travelers, and we always just laugh at them and say that they're not. Okay, number 2, and this is the interesting one.
Talking to your mic.
Number 2, people experience.
He's from another time where they didn't have microphones.
In the future, people experience time travel, but without ever having to actually come to it's like a virtual reality thing, or they go to a museum where they're able.
So it's
to
like going to the movies time unspools in front of you, but
Yes,
you don't have to
but you
enter
aren't
into
actually
it.
here. Yeah, you
Or
aren't
someone
actually-
standing behind me in virtual reality giving me bunny ears from the future.
Right.
I don't know.
But maybe they're invisible or intangible or something like that, and we can't really. So they don't interrupt the time flow.
If movies are time travel already?
Well, that's just
And number one.
during my K days, I used to be able to see the time travelers coming, and they would come like in groups, and they would say, "And here's James St. James lying in his bed," and everybody would take pictures and snap around, and I would see this happening. It was very strange.
Wait,
But
when was this?
this was back in my K days, back in the old days.
And what did the time travelers look like?
When-
Well,
Wednesday?
it would be
Were
like
they
it would be like
grays, or-
group like tourists. They would be.
But
like,
didn't you live in that apartment where people would come and take a picture in the apartment? Wasn't there an
Yeah,
apartment you lived
well,
in
yeah,
where the
that-
murder happened or something?
Yes. But that's something.
Different
And you
thing.
did hide under the sink to avoid them.
Yeah.
We need number one. We're running out of time.
Okay, I'm sorry. But and this
Number
is,
one.
This is the scariest part. This is the scariest
Oh.
one of them all. Is that time travel never happens because the Earth blows up in 2 or 3 years, and so nobody ever all of the human species is gone. So there is no future and there is no time travel, and nobody ever gets to invent it because we are headed towards an apocalypse, and so therefore there will never be any time travel.
We all equally, individually, have a knack to really bring things to a grinding halt.
Well, I'm just glad it's not cannibalism.
That's next week.
Number 2.
Number 2.
So upset was I with Six Underground that I thought I'm going to watch something else on Netflix. More fool me. I watched The Two Freaking Popes. Anthony Hopkins and Jonathan Pryce chewing their way
Yeah.
through an insignificant, non-eventful piece of bullshit called The Two Popes, because it's all based loosely on supposed fact where Pope Benedict summons Pope Benedict, who was Ratzinger, the German Hitler Youth
Right.
kid who became Pope, summons his successor, who was Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict and Pope Francis. They're the two popes. I can't remember which is which. And
Francis is now.
Francis is now. So Benedict summons Francis, who then is obviously a cardinal, to come see him.
And the German Pope retired, which is not really heard of, right?
Nobody-
Well,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's what the whole movie is supposedly about.
Okay.
And that's where I feel they have me under false pretenses, because this is going to be interesting. It's the retiring pope meeting with the person who's about to be pope. So we're going to get the skinny on why the pope retired, because the fact of the matter is that it wasn't since, I think, 1415 that a pope retired. It's just not an option if you're pope to retire. And we also know that Ratzinger, who was German, was in the Hitler Youth. We also know that at the time of his retirement, the Catholic Church, embroiled in this endless child abuse scandal.
Still is.
Somehow, none of that seems to really make it into the movie. They're just talking about drinking Fanta and watching football
this
and
a-
having these sort of vaguely
Is
ideological...
this a fictionalized account of it, or are they just purporting that it's actual history?
Apparently, the whole thing's a fiction, because apparently they never actually met. They never had this private meeting.
But they have met since.
They've met, but they didn't have this super
get out the
secret
pretzels
private...
and the Tostitos.
This sort of entente popiale, if
May I
you
ask a
will.
question? How is Princess Margaret in this? I'm just teasing. It sounds like The Crown, but like it could be called like
no,
the Red
but,
Slippers.
interestingly enough,
I'm
hold
sure
on.
there's going to be like a sequel, right?
Because in The King,
the three
they
popes,
had
the four popes, more popes. Sorry.
recently in The King, the Timothée Chalamet movie, they had Henry V meeting with the Dauphin of France, and that never happened.
Right.
In the Margot Robbie Mary Queen of Scots, they had Mary Queen of Scots meeting with Elizabeth I, and that never happened. So it seems like it's this trend now of having these historical incidences that they're just making up shit about what happens, and that seems very Trumpian to me.
I think I'd agree with you.
Okay.
When
You watch a bad movie on Netflix in the comfort of your own home or while driving, when the movie is bad and it's signaled to you, hey, I'm bad, do you watch the whole thing?
Well, I have to tell you the truth. I haven't got through Six Underground, and I haven't got through the two popes. I mean, I've got about 20 minutes to go on each,
That's
and
pretty-
I sort of
that's-
feel
that's-
I should. It's not that bad. There's nothing wrong with Jonathan Pryce. There's nothing wrong with Anthony Hopkins. In fact, I love Anthony Hopkins. And in a way, it is sort of nice to see two popes going at it. Not in a James St. James way, but just having these sort of ideological, ecumenical discussions But I just felt like a real missed opportunity. There was so much that they could say.
Do they do a duet at any point? Because that seems like a missed opportunity if they didn't.
Oh, never was there ever a cat so clever as magical.
Two Popes is streaming on Netflix. I got to tell you, you might want to watch instead new episodes of TNT with RuPaul's Drag Race Bag of Chips and the Vivian as Margaret Thatcher and Donald Trump every Thursday on Wow Presents Plus.
It's not really political. It's just fucking hilarious.
Yes. Wow-presents.com. We'll be right back after the break and reveal the number one thing. The number one thing that made us go, wow, this Christmas.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Tom and Blake, and we're just wrapping things up before we go on ho-ho holidays. And we've got to number one, right? We've been counting down top 10 things that make us go wow.
Considering this is our last show before Christmas,
Thank you.
It may seem odd to bring up this person's name. It's a little weird, but number one is
Number one.
Mariah Carey.
Yep.
For the first time in the 25-year history of All I Want for Christmas, her song, All I Want for Christmas, is number one for the first time in 25 years, making this her 19th number one single,
Right.
just one shy of the Beatles that have 20. And if that's not enough reason just to celebrate and be happy, because there was some memes going around on social media where they don't like that song anymore. It's like, back off, people. There's only a few things left on this earth, and one of them is Mariah Carey. By the way, the whole album is really good, the original first album. So you should listen. If you're sick of All I Want for Christmas,
Jesus, oh, what a wonderful child. That's my favorite
thank you
one.
very much. And if you want to see Mariah, I think at her best, there is a Billy on the Street, which now exists on YouTube, where he does a Christmas episode and a Hanukkah episode with Mariah Carey running through the streets of New York. Can I just tell you, I haven't watched Billy on the Street in a while just because I'm out of the habit, and it's back on YouTube. It's had many lives in many, many homes. It is the funniest fucking thing in the world. I'm swearing a lot. Merry Christmas.
I was going to say this is a number of times you said
Merry
fuck.
fucking
Merry
Christmas.
fucking Christmas. Listen, is that why it's number one? Like, how do we explain
After
this?
25 years.
I was thinking about this.
Is it
and I
time
think
travel? Must be time travel.
every 20 years, and since this was the 90s and the 90s are cool again.
Oh, it's cyclical, right?
I'm really happy for her. I think she owns Christmas. Before Star Wars owned Christmas, Mariah Carey owned Christmas.
Absolutely.
She does her Christmas show. It's always been great in New York.
I think Randy's out in Vegas.
She did it in Vegas.
year.
Yeah, she is Christmas to me.
She looks super cute in the Billy Eichner thing, too.
And Mariah Carey has the same initials as Merry Christmas.
Time travel.
Mary, Mother of Christ.
But we need to play a little Mariah on our way out. Maybe we'll play a different cut than all. Well, we should play all of
I'm but this year I'm really into the Katy Perry Christmas song.
Yeah, it's good.
I really think that's the new Mariah Carey.
Good luck.
And
I
I'm
think it's
still
great to have more.
Sticking with Last Christmas.
And this is not a new album, but
Wow.
Casey Musgrave has a Christmas album that has a lot of really fun stuff on it, including one with Willie Nelson where it's about smoking marijuana.
We
at
should
Christmas.
do a countdown Christmas songs, because I was thinking, like, do they know it's Christmas?
35 years old this year.
Wow.
Mariah's 25. All do I want for Christmas? Do they know it's Christmas?
Let's
The
play
original.
Christmas songs all the way through this show.
Well, no, because I want Mr. Mistopheles. I want some of the Cats music. To be in it.
I play Cats as Christmas music, so I also have.
Don't you
an
dare
album called, I also
take
have,
away my cat.
I also have a.
I will be furious if I listen to this for
You
the
never
first
do.
time. If the first time ever I listen to an episode and it's nothing but Christmas music and no Mr. Mistopheles.
I also have an incredible album that I recommend to everyone called Meowie Christmas. And it's like meow 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 meow.
And you listen to it for the
With
time
the
you go
cats.
home to the time you
But
come
it's
to
real
work.
meows. They
He
just
listens to
tune
it in the
each meow.
car.
The entire
Top down.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks for tuning in to the Wow Report on Radio and
like it.
Sirius XM. Listen to previous episodes on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents. Same time, same place, next week. Until then, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Something
Yeah,
that
happy
makes
holidays.
the world go.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Something like that.
Now, bonus for the people watching on YouTube right here, I got into a huge argument on Twitter the other day about this Mariah Carey thing, where they were saying that this is the first time anyone has ever had number one hits in 4 consecutive decades. And I said, wait a minute.
Madonna.
Cher, and
60s,
Tina Turner.
70s, 80s, 90s.
Okay, Cher did 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s
Yeah.
as well. I mean, Cher and Tina Turner, but they did not have number one hits. They had top 10 hits in 4 consecutive decades, but not
That's
number
fair.
one
That's
hits.
fair.
And so I was tooled, and I had to back
Mariah
down.
What about Madonna? Doesn't she?
No, Madonna has not had number one hits in 4 consecutive. She had
60s, no. 70s, no. 80s, 90s.
Did
2000.
she
Probably
have number one?
2005, maybe. I
Did
don't
she
know.
have
I don't know if
2000s?
Hung Up was
I don't think she. Yeah,
music. I don't know.
I don't know if it was number one, but I think she did have a top 10 hit in 3 decades.
Can you sing some more from Cats just for the people watching on YouTube?
Rum Tum Tugger was this.
Can we get
Did
a
you go
ma-
with Seth Abramowitz?
I did go with Seth Abramowitz, and he was absolutely adorable, and he told me some dirty stories that were just
That won't make the cut.
no.
Oh, go on, tell us something good.
Tell me something good.
Wow, wow.